and welcome. Whether you've been with me since episode 1 or you've just found this channel today, I'm really glad you're here. My name is Karen and this is my ESL Listen-Along Series where I read my own published novel aloud, chapter by chapter, to help you grow your English through real adult storytelling. The book is called Of Fire and Fate, and I wrote it, which means I get to read it to you with absolutely zero guilt. Here's how it works. I read you one chapter, then I come back and we look at vocabulary, idioms, and language highlights together. You can simply listen and enjoy the story, or read along with your own copy. The book is on Amazon and the link is in the description. A quick reminder, this is an adult book for listeners 18 and over. It contains explicit sexual content, themes of domestic abuse and trauma, and other mature content. Not right for you? My Dr. Dolittle series is completely family friendly, linked below. Still here? Perfect. Let's get into it. Let me bring you up to speed on everything so far, because a lot has happened. We've met both of our main characters. First, Seraphine, in the prologue. We met her at the worst moment in her life, trapped in a religious cult, married to a violent and controlling man her community worship as the prophet. The prologue drops us right into the night. She finally fights back and runs. No plan, no money, just survival instinct and an open road. By chapter 2, she's rebuilt something fragile. A false name, a cafe job, a small room by the sea in a town called Wavecrest. She's become Sarah, careful, invisible, always watching the exits. But in chapter 2, everything cracks open. She overhears two men in an alley behind a supermarket. The cult has found her. They know where she works. They are organized, coordinated, and they're not planning to bring her home for a trial. They are planning to silence her permanently. She goes back to her room, and on her pillow she finds a single white camellia, a flower that grew all over the cult compound, a message that they have been inside her room. They know exactly where she sleeps. And then Draven. In chapter 1, we met the Dragon King of a hidden kingdom called Montview. His people are dying out. The ancient magic that once guided every dragon to their destined mate has gone silent for generations. All Draven has is a 10-year-old fragment of a vision, a pair of eyes, hazel flecked with gold. He's been searching ever since, and at the end of chapter 1, he's travelling to Wavecrest. I wonder why. And today, chapter 3, we're back with Seraphine. She's made a decision. She's not running, not yet. She needs her pay first, enough money to disappear properly, not just panic and flee into the night. So she goes to work. She keeps her head down. She tells herself yesterday was a trick of the light, a mistake, exhaustion, and nerves. She almost believes it. And then she goes to the beach, and she sees him. This is the chapter you have been waiting for. Find your page if you have the book. Get comfortable. I'll see you on the other side. Chapter 3. Seraphine. The thought of fleeing again with no money, no plan, and nothing but the vague fear of a possible pursuer was almost as terrifying as the man himself. I decided I'm safer in the familiar cage of my room than in the exposed wilderness of the highway. I had to come to work today. It was nearly payday, and I needed it to flee, to truly disappear. The day passes too easily, suspiciously easy. The customers come and go, the scent of coffee fights the fresh sea air curling through the open windows. The cheerful chatter of families spilled across the booths. Mr. Harrington hummed along with the old jukebox. For once, I almost believed I belonged here, that Sarah is real, I've managed to shove the phantom fear from yesterday into a locked box. It was nothing, a trick of the light, exhaustion, nerves, he's gone, he's dead. By the time I clock out, the sun hangs low and honey gold over the water. I trade my apron for a light sweater and walk the familiar, desperate path towards the shore. The sand is still warm under my toes, still holding the day's heat, but the atmosphere is already cooling. I breathe in the air, briny and sharp, and let the steady sound of the waves drown out the noise in my head. Then I see him. He's standing, knee-deep in the surf, the waves circling around his legs as if drawn to him, reluctant to retreat. The dying light glows in every line of his impossibly tall body, towering, broad-shouldered and solid in a way that made the atmosphere around him hum with contained strength. He owns the space he stands in, not through arrogance, but sheer, unyielding presence. His skin caught the sunset, sun-bronzed and faintly glimmering, like light glancing off something harder than muscle beneath the surface. When he moves, water streams down the ridges of his chest, built for battle, not show. He pushes his thick, dark hair back from his face, and the motion sends droplets cascading down his jaw and disappearing beneath his stubble. My breath locks in my throat. He looks towards the horizon, head turning just enough that I glimpse his eyes, catching the last of the sun, molten gold, like fire behind glass. Something about them feels ancient, heavy, as if the heat there could burn through anyone who dared hold that gaze too long. A god, I think, before I can stop myself. A man carved from sunlight and raw, dangerous power. The attraction hits me like a physical force, unwelcome and overwhelming. Heat pools low in my belly, a sensation so foreign after years of associating touch with pain that it takes me a moment to even recognize it as desire. My body is responding independent of my mind's warning, pulse quickening, skin flushing, a liquid warmth spreading through my limbs. It's been so long since I felt anything but fear around a man. So long since my body responded with anything other than the instinct to flee or freeze. Then, without warning, a memory crashes over me like a rogue wave. Simon's hand on my wrist, fingers digging into the delicate bones hard enough to bruise. You don't get to look at other men. You don't get to smile at them, speak to them, or exist for them. Your eyes, your thoughts, your body, all of it belongs to me. The compound's summer festival 3 years ago, I'd laughed at something the butcher said, a harmless joke about burnt meat on the barbecue, and Simon had seen. That night, he'd gripped my jaw, forced me to meet his cold, grey eyes. You embarrassed me today, made me look weak, like I can't control my own wife. Do you know what happens to wives that don't respect their husbands? I knew. I always knew. The pattern was predictable. The accusation, the isolation, the systematic breaking down of any spark of independence or joy. My stomach lurches violently. The beautiful man in the water blurs as my vision tunnels. For a sickening moment, I can't separate the present from the past. The warmth I felt a second ago curdles into something toxic, dangerous. Men who look like gods, who command space with their presence, who make you feel small just by existing. Those are the ones who hurt you the most. I press my hand to my chest, trying to slow my racing heart. He's not Simon, he's just a stranger, a tourist. He doesn't even know you exist. But my body doesn't believe me. My hands are shaking, my breath coming too fast. The fight or flight response Simon trained into me is screaming warnings. Powerful men are dangerous, beautiful men are liars. Any man who makes you feel something is a trap waiting to spring. He is a predator holding himself in check. The quiet, coiled power makes every nerve in my body stand to attention. Even from this distance, I swear I can feel the heat radiating off him, the kind of warmth that seeps into your skin and refuses to let go. A spark ignites low in my stomach, quick, hot, shocking, a primal feminine need I haven't felt in years, if ever. My pulse leaps, traitorous hormones screaming, "Get a grip, Seraphine!" I shake my head, the sudden rush of attraction alarming. He's just a man, a ridiculously good-looking man, sure, the kind you'd expect on a fantasy book cover, but still just a man. I'll never see him again. Still, I can't quite look away until the sun dips fully behind the water. My cheeks are warm as I finally turn towards the cafe in my room. The air is cooling now, brushing against my skin, carrying the faint scent of salt and something sweet, something familiar I can't quite place. When I open the door to my room, the lock clicking shut behind me, I stop dead. My small room is exactly as I had left it, dim, damp, smelling faintly of old wood and bleach. But across my dark, cheap pillow was an anomaly, a splash of stark, impossible white. A single, perfect white camellia. My throat closes, sealing off my air supply. The flower, that flower. They grew everywhere in the compound gardens. The only thing Simon ever said was almost beautiful enough to match his wife. Now, it is the only symbol of his ownership, his final cruel taunt. This isn't a trick of the light. This isn't a nightmare. He's here. Or someone from the community, a hunter. They know where Sarah lives. The cold certainty shatters the last of my composure. My lungs burn, my hands shake so hard I nearly dropped my bag. The flower is deliberate, a chilling message left in a space only I could access. Run! The word echoes through my mind, a command that's kept me alive for months. I should grab my bag, whatever cash I have hidden in the coffee can under the sink, and disappear into the night, catch the late bus to the next town, then the next, until the trail goes cold. But my legs won't move. I sink onto the edge of the narrow bed, staring at where the camellia sits. My adrenaline is making my whole body feel electric and useless at the same time. Where would I even go? The question stopped me cold. I have maybe $300 in savings, enough for a bus ticket and a week's worth of cheap motel rooms, if I'm lucky. Not enough to start over somewhere new, not enough to put real distance between me and whoever is hunting me. And then what? Another nowhere town, another fake name, another minimum wage job where I'm always looking over my shoulder? How many times can I run before I run out of road? The hunter, because that's what they are now. I can't pretend otherwise. They're organized. They found me here, in this unremarkable coastal town, where I've been so careful. If I run tonight, panicked and unprepared, they'll find me again. Probably faster next time. The inner circle wants her paranoid, wants her making mistakes. Panicked people run, and when they run, they get sloppy. The words from the alley echo in my memory. They want me to run. They're counting on it. Every insect screaming at me to flee might be playing directly into their trap. I press the heel of my hand against my eyes, trying to think past the fear. Mr. Harrington owes me nearly $400 for this week's shifts. If I work through the weekend, that's another $200, $600 total, enough to buy a real head start, maybe even a fake ID if I can find the right channels. And there's something else, something I barely want to admit even to myself. I'm tired of running. Not tired enough to give up, not tired enough to let them win, but tired enough that the thought of fleeing into the night with nothing but panic and pocket change feels worse than staying 1 more day, 2 more days, just long enough to plan properly. Just a few more days, I tell myself, the decisions settling into my bones with a weight that feels both reckless and necessary. I'll work my shifts, collect my pay, and plan a real escape, not a panicked flight, but a strategic disappearance. It's dangerous, maybe stupid, but running blind tonight feels even more dangerous. I stand, methodically checking the locks on the door, once, twice, 3 times. I wedge a chair under the handle, an extra barrier that won't stop a determined intruder, but might buy me precious seconds. I check the window, making sure it's locked but could be opened quickly if I need an escape route. Then, I sit back down on the bed, fully clothed, my bag packed and ready by the door, but the walls are closing in. The room is too small, too dark, the air too thick with the cloying scent of camellias. Every creak of the building settling sounds like footsteps in the hall. Every distant voice could be them coming for me. The logical part of my brain, the part that made the smart decision to stay, to plan, is being drowned out by pure animal panic. I can't breathe in here. The realization hits with a visceral force. If I stay in this room another minute, I'm going to claw my way out of my own skin. I need air. I need space. I need to move to prove to myself that I'm not already trapped. Just a walk, I tell myself, grabbing my bag, because I will never go anywhere without it now. Just to the beach and back, 20 minutes, clear your head, then come back and enjoy the night. It's reckless. It's exactly what they'd expect. Panicked Sarah running to her predictable safe space. But the alternative is staying in this coffin of a room, slowly suffocating on fear. I unlock the door and slip out into the evening. The cafe is closed, Mr. Harrington long gone. The street is alive with tourists and locals enjoying their mild nights, the kind of crowd that feels like camouflage. I can blend in, just another person out for an evening stroll. The beach, I just need to see the ocean to let the vastness remind me that the world is bigger than this town, bigger than the hunters, bigger than my fear. I walk quickly, not quite running but close, my feet knowing the path by heart. The evening crowd parts around me, couples holding hands, families with tired children, and teenagers laughing too loudly. Normal people living normal lives, unaware that someone among them is being hunted. I turn the corner onto the boardwalk, the sound of waves growing louder, and then I slam straight into a wall. No, not a wall, a person. The impact knocks the air from my lungs in a sharp, painful oof, and my bag tumbles to the ground, scattering everything. Keys, wallets, the pathetic remnants of my savings. I knelt blindly, scrambling. Apologies, I wasn't watching where I was going, a voice says, deep and rough, like dark velvet. His hand brushes mine as he immediately crouches, reaching for my keys, and a strange heat surges through me. It's sharp and electric, heating my skin from the inside out, but unlike the violence I know, this warmth is inexplicably, terrifyingly soothing. It feels like a current grounding my panic. When he looks up, my breath catches again. Eyes the color of molten gold meet mine, steady and impossibly intense. For a heartbeat, the street goes silent. It's him. The man from the beach, the towering presence, he's here. How can that be? Is he a hunter? Was he sent to find me? The instinct that has kept me alive kicks in, overriding the confusing warmth. Run! He must see the raw fear, the sheer panic in my hazel eyes, because his brows pull together darkening his gold gaze. Hey, wait, are you okay? Draven. The moment she crashes into me, the world stops. Not figurative, it literally stops. Like every atom in the universe has paused to witness this single, impossible instant. The mate bond, silent for so long, I'd begun to think it was a myth, roars to life with such ferocity, it nearly drives me to my knees. Mine. The word weaves through my consciousness, primal and absolute. My dragon surges against my control, demanding I shift, claim, protect. Every instinct I possess is screaming to wrap myself around this tiny, trembling woman and never let go. But she's terrified. I see it in every line of her body, the way she's already pulling away before she's even caught her breath, the white-knuckled grip on her bag, the wild, trapped look in her eyes that are exactly the hazel gold I've seen in my dreams, but filled with fear so profound it physically hurts to witness. She's not afraid of some abstract threat. She's afraid of me. The realization is a knife between my ribs. I've imagined this moment for years, finding her, knowing her, the perfect click of destiny falling into place. In none of those fantasies was she looking at me like I'm the monster she's been running from. I forced myself to stay crouched, to keep my movements slow and non-threatening as I reach for her scattered belongings. The keys are cold against my palm, but where my skin brushes hers, there's heat, the unmistakable spark of the mate bond trying to establish itself. Does she feel it? The way her breath hitches suggests yes, but the panic in her expression says she doesn't understand what it means. Of course she doesn't. She's human, not a shifter. Hey, wait, are you okay? It's the wrong thing to say. I realize it the moment the words leave my mouth. She's not okay. She's not been okay for a long time. And some stranger asking about her well-being in a tone of command rather than concern is only going to make it worse. She scrambles to her feet, shoving things into her bag with shaking hands, and every cell in my body is screaming at me to stop her, to make her stay, to explain that I'm not a threat but her salvation. But I can't, because right now, in this moment, I am the threat. I'm the massive, unknown male blocking her escape route, standing between her and safety. So I do the hardest thing I've ever done. I step back, giving her space. Wait, stop! The words come out harsher than intended, edged with the dragon's possessive growl. She runs faster, of course she does. I stand in the middle of the street, watching her disappear into the crowd, my hands clenched into fists at my sides. The bond is a living thing now, a golden thread connecting us that's being stretched taut with every step she takes away from me. It doesn't hurt yet, not physically, but there's a wrongness to the distance, like trying to breathe underwater. Let her go, I tell myself, even as every instinct rebels against the idea. You'll find her again, and next time you'll be smarter, gentler, whatever it takes to make her see you're not the enemy. But the dragon inside is howling, furious at my restraint. She's ours. She's running. We should chase, claim, keep. Not like this, I mutter under my breath, forcing my feet to stay planted. Not if it means she'll never trust us. A couple passing by gives me a wide berth, probably picking up on the dangerous energy I'm radiating. I don't care. All I care about is the rapidly cooling trail of her scent, smoke and honey and fear, and the absolute certainty that I've just found and lost the most important person in my life in the span of 30 seconds. Geldrick is going to have a field day with this. But beneath the frustration and the dragon's rage, there's something else. hope, because she's real. She exists, and those eyes, gods, those eyes that looked at me with fear, yes, but also with a flash of recognition, as if some part of her, buried beneath the trauma and terror, knew me too. I'll find her again, and next time I won't be a stranger appearing out of nowhere. I'll be someone she can trust, even if it kills me to wait. Seraphine. Hey, wait! Are you okay? The stranger asks, but I'm already shoving the scattered pieces back into my bag with violently shaking hands. I have to go, I stammer, scrambling to my feet. I turn and push through the crowd spilling from the boardwalk restaurants, heart lodged in my throat. I don't look back. I can't risk seeing that beautiful, dangerous face again. Behind me, I hear his voice once more, a low, confused sound, demanding, "Wait! Stop!" But the noise is swallowed by the crash of the waves and the pounding of my heart. I run until my lungs ache, until the lights of the shops blurred, until all that's left was the echo of my frantic pulse and the lingering phantom warmth of his hand, still on mine. The heat was a promise, but right now, it feels like another chain. And that was chapter 3. They finally met, sort of, in the most chaotic, terrifying, electric 30 seconds possible. Very on brand for this book, honestly. But what a chapter for language. Let's get into it. 5 words taken directly from this chapter that are absolutely worth adding to your vocabulary. First, reluctant. I wrote that when Draven stands in the surf, the waves curl around his legs as if drawn to him, reluctant to retreat. Reluctant means unwilling to do something, held back by hesitation or resistance. You do it, but you don't want to. She was reluctant to leave the party early. He gave a reluctant smile. He was trying not to be charmed, but failing. Notice how I use it here to describe ocean waves, not a person. This is personification, giving human feelings to something that is not human. The ocean does not want to leave him. Even the water is drawn to Draven. That one word is doing a lot of work. Number 2, visceral. When Seraphine is trapped in her room and realizes she can't breathe, I wrote, the realization hits with visceral force. Visceral means coming from deep physical instinct rather than thought or logic. A visceral reaction is raw, gut level, felt in the body before the mind catches up. The film was viscerally frightening, not just scary, but physically uncomfortable to watch. She had a visceral reaction to the smell. It brought everything flooding back. It's a powerful word for describing intense emotional or physical responses, and it's used a lot in journalism and reviews. Once you have it, you'll notice it everywhere. Third, phantom. Seraphine has managed to lock her fear away for the day, and I wrote that she has shoved the phantom fear from yesterday into a locked box. Later, after Draven touches her hand, she runs, still feeling the lingering phantom warmth of his hand on mine. Phantom literally means a ghost, something that appears or is felt but has no physical presence. In everyday English, we use it to describe sensations or feelings that persist even when their cause is gone. He still felt phantom pain in his leg he had lost. A phantom guilt stayed with her long after the argument was over. I used it twice in this chapter, and both times it captures something that Seraphine cannot shake. Fear that will not stay buried. A warmth that will not fade. That repetition is deliberate. 4. Primal. Primal means something that is basic, instinctive, and deeply rooted in our nature. It refers to feelings or behaviors that come from our most fundamental human drives: survive, desire, fear. Rather than reason or logic, it's raw and elemental. A spark ignites low in my stomach, quick, hot, shocking. A primal feminine need I haven't felt in years, if ever. The villagers felt a primal fear when the volcano erupted. His primal urge to protect his child gave him sudden strength. And notice my word choice here. It's not just a need, it's a primal need. That adjective tells us this feeling is not polite, not rational, not carefully considered. It is instinctive, shocking, and overwhelming. By using primal, I've conveyed that this desire is ancient, powerful, and impossible to ignore. That single word transforms the scene. It's not simply attraction, it's something deeper, something that bypasses thought and goes straight to the body. 5. Subjugated. Draven is standing at the window, questioning himself, and thinks, my entire life has been about sacrifice, with my personal wants subjugated to the needs of the kingdom. Subjugated means brought under complete control, forced into submission. It's a strong formal word, often used in historical or political contexts. The conquered people were subjugated for generations. She refused to have her ambitions subjugated by other people's expectations. Here, Draven is using it about himself, his own wants, his own needs, deliberately and completely suppressed in service of his people. That word choice reveals just how long he's been carrying this weight. Now for the idiom from this chapter. This one comes from Draven. He's standing in the street after Seraphine has run from him. His dragon instincts are screaming at him to chase her, claim her, never let her go. And he says to himself, not like this, not if it means she'll never trust us. And then later, forcing a bond is no bond at all. The idiom I want to look at is the one Kaeldrick uses when Draven finally tells him about Seraphine at the ball. You look like you're ready to burn the whole town down just to see her again. Now, to burn something down literally means to destroy it with fire. But in English, we use burn it down as an idiom, meaning to take extreme, destructive action without caring about the consequences. He was so angry, he wanted to burn the whole system down. She had worked so hard to build this, and one bad decision could burn it all down. And Kaeldrick is using it here affectionately. He knows Draven well enough to recognize that his friend is past rational thinking. He is not warning him, he's observing him, and that tone, half amused, half genuinely worried, is exactly what makes their friendship so good to read. And here's your question for this week. There's a moment in this chapter where Seraphine feels an unexpected rush of warmth and attraction when she sees Draven on the beach, and then immediately a memory of Simon crashes over her, turning that warmth into something toxic and frightening. She thinks, men who look like gods, who command space with their presence, those are the ones that hurt you most. So here's what I want you to think about. When someone has been hurt by a person in the past, is it fair to judge a new person by the same standard? And can you understand why Seraphine does it, even if it's not entirely rational? This is a question about human psychology and trust, about how trauma shapes the way we see the world. And it is also a question that will become very important as this story develops. There's no right answer. I want to know what you generally think. Leave it in the comments, and if you use one of this week's vocabulary words in your answer, even better. That's chapter 3. Seraphine has run, Draven is standing in the street watching her disappear into the crowd. But here's what I will tell you about next week. Draven does not give up. In fact, before the sun has even risen fully the next morning, he has already found her again. He just hasn't let her know that yet. Subscribe so you don't miss it. The book link is in the description if you simply can't wait. And honestly, I completely understand. Take care of yourselves.